Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Let's get straight to the docket. First, Prince Andrew wishing he had never met that guy named Jeff. The mother of Harmony Montgomery speaks. 500 witnesses in the Barry Morphew matter. Ethan Crumley, well, the lawsuits have begun. Chandler Henderson, well, his trial has been delayed. This is one way of getting rid of your wife. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Crime Talk. My name is Scott Reich. Now, this is the most fact-driven, unbiased, true crime channel out there. I put my name on it. First, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you receive notifications when we go live or put up new content. And for those who missed it, we went up live last night. I think we had a really good conversation with all of our subscribers and then our Patreon show as well. All right, it is January 12th, 2022. Let's get to the docket. First, Prince Andrew, wishing he had never met that guy named Jeff. That's right. Prince Andrew is under pressure to settle with Virginia Roberts Jeffrey after a New York judge refused to throw out her case. Now, the decision is kind of a big blow to the Duke of York, who now faces huge expensive fees and reputation-shredding court case next September unless he tries to pay off Miss Jeffrey with at least $5 million. Now, if Prince Andrew chooses not to settle or if Jeffrey rejects his offers, he faces being interviewed by her lawyer in a videotaped deposition in London that could be played in court. Now, although Andrew cannot be forced to give evidence because this is a civil suit in a different legal jurisdiction, well, guess what? He's going to have to participate. So far, Prince Andrew has been forced to sell off his $23 million Swiss chalet to cover his legal expenses because the Queen has reportedly refused to pay the bills. Good for her. Now, Judge Lewis Kaplan has slated the case to be held between September and December, with Andrew having the option to appear virtually. If Andrew decides to appeal today's decision, this timeline will likely be pushed back. Now, Andrew's attorneys had unsuccessfully argued that Jeffrey's case should have been thrown out because of the newly unsealed $500,000 settlement with that man named Jeff. Andrew's lawyer, Andrew Bretler, argued it protected the prince because it contained a clause where Jeffrey agreed not to take any legal action against potential defendants. Yeah. Well, Judge Kaplan said, for the reasons cited, defendant's motion to dismiss the complaint for a more definite statement is denied. Now, given the court's limited task of ruling on this motion, nothing in this opinion or previously in these proceedings properly may be construed as indicating a view with respect to the truth of the charges or countercharges or to the intention of the parties to enter into the 2009 agreement. Judge Kaplan said the court was not able at this stage to consider the Duke's efforts to cast doubt on Miss Jeffrey's claim or whether he was covered by the settlement agreement, suggesting these were all issues ultimately for trial. Now, Prince Charles, Meghan Markle, and Sarah, Duchess of York, could all be called as witnesses. Now, David Boyce, the lawyer representing Miss Jeffrey in her legal action, has claimed Andrew's daughter Beatrice could also be called because her father used her as an alibi, claiming that he was with her at a pizza joint on the night he is alleged to have slept with Miss Jeffrey. Now, understand, someone based in the UK cannot be forced to give evidence because it is a civil case in a different jurisdiction. If the trial does go ahead, Andrew would likely be subpoenaed to appear in person, but he could refuse to attend. He cannot be forced to attend any U.S. court because UK citizens cannot be extradited to America for civil matters. His deposition would be used in lieu of live testimony, but that would likely play out poorly in front of a jury. He will not be able to rely on diplomatic immunity to avoid the case because it only applies to the Queen and her immediate household. News was also released today that the Duke of York cannot return to royal duties because his reputation is damaged beyond repair following a decision to allow a civil case to be brought against him by Miss Jeffries. His mother, the Queen, has had a horrid year dealing with this mess, and it will continue unless her son settles to avoid a trial. Now, let's face it, the Duke had a very bad day. Probably not going to have any great days in between until this case is settled. And the mere fact that he may have to pay the money, if I was the plaintiff's attorney, the price to settle probably just went up just to have the embarrassment factor for the Duke there, that's for sure. Now, will this case settle? Who knows exactly what it will do, but I assure you the Duke is probably trying to get this over with as quickly as possible, and he's probably going to have to write a big check with a lot of zeros. Now, Miss Jeffries, she settled for $500,000 with Mr. Jeff, that guy named Jeff, right? So I'm not exactly sure other than why inflation would be more for the Duke. Leading us back once again to the 12 undeniable truths from a criminal defense attorney. It's always about the money. All right, next on the docket, Harmony Montgomery. Remember that little missing girl? Well, the biological mother of the missing 7-year-old says she is still desperately trying to find her daughter. Yeah, so desperate that she never reported her missing for 2 years. She states, quote, "Please, I'm begging for help in finding my daughter before she ends up like that little boy that just passed away." Crystal's story was referring to a 5-year-old Elijah Lewis who was found dead in a park in Massachusetts in 2021. Now, in an email, Sori said, now it's a year later and the DCYF has done nothing to help me find her. Now, Sori added in the email, she's supposed to be in 1st grade. Adam never enrolled her in school this whole time. New Hampshire police reached out to the New Hampshire Police Department of the Child Services to locate Adam by December 27th. The agency couldn't find him. Police began searching for him when they learned that Harmony had not been physically seen since October or November of 2019. Now, police said that Adam Montgomery's statements were inconsistent and secretive, with the suspect telling them things such as, "I have nothing to say, and if I'm not under arrest, I'm leaving." I'm not sure why that's secretive. That is, obviously exercising your constitutional rights. However, it does make you look bad in the eyes of the public. Crystal Sori also said in a text message, as a mother who has confronted addiction, I realize I too have failed Harmony in the past, but the safety nets in place that were supposed to protect Harmony during my battle, including DCYF and law enforcement, failed my little girl. I've been begging for any type of answer since 2019, according to Ms. Sori. She says that her daughter was failed by everybody. Now, a $95,000 reward for the information on Harmony's whereabouts is being offered, and anyone with information is asked to contact the police tip line at 603-203-6060. And I cannot wait until the lawsuit comes on behalf of the mother who didn't report her child missing for 2 years, saying that the safety net had failed her and her daughter. And you wonder why I'm so cynical, ladies and gentlemen, when I say it's always about the money? Just wait. That suit's coming. Next on the docket, 500 witnesses in the Barry Morphy matter. Really? So Barry Morphy's trial is scheduled to begin in May and is expected to last 3 weeks. The prosecution has endorsed up to 500 witnesses, including his 2 adult daughters, Macy and Mallory. There's employees of Barry's landscaping company and his wife's lover, Jeff Leibler. Now, Leibler lives out of state and received a text message from Suzanne of a picture of her in a bikini minutes before Barry came home from work on May 9th of 2020. Prosecutors say his picture was the last proof of life of Suzanne before she disappeared. Now, Suzanne was reported missing the next day, Mother's Day of 2020, by their neighbors, the Ritters, who are also on the list of potential witnesses. Now, Suzanne's body still has not been found, although the Chaffee County deputies found her bike near her home on the same day she went missing. They also found her bike helmet off Highway 50 about 8 miles from the home. And Barry's new girlfriend, Shoshana Dark, is also expected to take the stand. Now, Judge Patrick Murphy excused himself from the trial because of his longtime friendship with Dark's attorney, and Judge Ramsey Lama is now set to preside over Morphew's trial in May. Mr. Morphew remains out on a $500,000 cash bond. His next scheduled court appearance is scheduled for today regarding discovery issues. We'll let you know how that hearing went. 500 witnesses? Really? Come on. Now, I know the prosecution has to enlist anyone that has information regarding this case, so they endorse everyone they've ever spoken to. However, I assure you, a 500-person proposed witness list is not going to fly with the court, and it's certainly not going to fly with the defense. The defense is going to ask for, and the judge is going to order the prosecution to produce a good faith witness list, probably 14 to 21 days before trial, so that everybody knows what witnesses are being called, and we're not wasting everybody's time preparing for 500 witnesses. It's just fundamental fairness. All right, next on the docket, Ethan Crumley. Once again, it's about the money. In an amended federal lawsuit against Michigan Oxford High School shooter Ethan Crumley, the documents allege that the officials, administrators, and staff members accelerated the November 30th, 2021 incident through actions and omissions directly related to the behavior of the alleged shooter. Now, the original lawsuit alleged 3 civil rights and vicarious liability claims, and it accused the defendant of being responsible through their actions for making the student victims less safe. The new version of the lawsuit filed last Friday alleges numerous new facts in order to support 11 additional causes of actions, which is basically claims against the Oxford Community School District Superintendent Timothy Thorne, Principal Stephen Wolf, Dean of Students Ryan Moore, 2 unnamed counselors, 2 unnamed teachers, and 1 unarmed staff member. Now, among the new additions in the claim is that Ethan Crumley brought a severed bird head in a mason jar containing a yellow liquid to Oxford High School and left the jar on toilet paper dispenser in the boys' bathroom. The incident was reported to school officials. The following day, some 3 weeks prior to the mass shooting, the Oxford High School administration sent an email to parents which said, "Please know that we have reviewed every concern shared with us and investigated all information provided. We want our parents and students to know that there's been no threat to our building nor to our students." And multiple parents replied saying they aren't confident in the school's claims and that their kids don't feel safe going back to school. Mr. Wolf allegedly wrote back the same day to the parents saying, "I know I'm being redundant here, but there is absolutely no threat at the high school. Large assumptions were made from a few social media posts. Then the assumptions evolved into exaggerated rumors." Also, in the amended lawsuit, it states that the defendants excited Ethan Crumley by pulling him out of class and threatening that Child Protective Services would pull him out of his home without actually calling Child Protective Services, and thus accelerated the massacre by Crumley. Now, the lawsuit also alleges that Crumley brought live ammunition to school the day before the mass shooting, but was nonetheless allowed to return to class by multiple figures of authority. Now, Ethan Crumley has another court hearing Wednesday after he was bound over for trial on terrorism and murder charges in connection with the mass shooting at the Oxford High School. Crumley's felony case now goes to the Oakland County Circuit Court, while he will be arraigned on the felony charges. He has the option of entering, obviously, a plea of not guilty, which is more than likely what he'll do. If for some reason he were to plead guilty, there won't be a trial, and obviously a sentencing date would be set by the court. I wouldn't hold your breath on that just yet. And let's face it, the lawsuits start early. They start often these days, and they know school districts can write big checks, even though the person ultimately responsible for that is in custody. Everybody looks for somebody else with deep pockets to line their pockets. I get it. People lost their life. It's a tragic situation. No dollar amount will ever bring those young people back, but the attorneys are sure going to try to put a dollar value on their life. Next on the docket, the Chandler Henderson matter. Now, during the 6th day of testimony in the Chandler Henderson homicide trial, a neighbor of Bart and Krista Henderson said he remembers smelling something, as he described it, pungent in the air in early July of 2021. Stephen Greiber, a retired detective who lives across the street from the Henderson home, said he was outside on the evening of July 1st when he started to smell a strong odor of burning wood. But the smell changed and started to smell like someone was barbecuing pork. I'm surprised they didn't say it smelled like chicken. Another neighbor, Colin Lynch, provided police with security camera footage he had that pointed toward the Henderson home. Later that night and into the early morning hours on July 2, the video showed a flickering light inside the Henderson home, which was more than 300 feet away. Jurors saw time-lapse versions of the video, which showed the flickering, which investigators believed is to be the fireplace in the Henderson family room. From about 12:18 a.m. to about 4:30 a.m. on July 2, and the Dane County Sheriff's Office Deputy Scott Kuntz, a video analysis expert, took a look at the video and conducted an experiment to determine where exactly in the house the flickering light was coming from. Kuntz had another deputy wave a light wand in front of several windows in the Henderson home that would have been visible in the security video. Matching the images, Kuntz was able to determine the flickering light in the July 2nd video did indeed come from the Henderson family room. As the first mentioned in the trial Monday, human bone fragments were found in the fireplace. Boswell testified that standard fires don't typically burn at a temperature that would incinerate all human remains, and even crematoriums frequently have bone fragments left behind after that process. As part of the investigation into the fireplace, authorities also followed the ash trap to where ashes would have been deposited in the basement. Boswell said that there was an area cleared out by investigators with teams of people sifting through the debris and ash. Boswell also said that more bone fragments were found. Now, after the proceedings had wrapped up on Tuesday afternoon and prosecutors said they would rest their case as soon as Friday, the judge reportedly reconvened after learning of Henderson's positive COVID-19 test. The trial will be delayed until at least Tuesday, January 18th. That's a weird one, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Henderson, chopping up the parents, scattering them around, burning them. It's a case of TMM. That's right. Too much mommy. It's something that the parents created. All right. Now, don't get offended. As I said in the opening, this is one way to get rid of your spouse. It was a joke, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not encouraging anyone to harm your spouse. Domestic abuse is wrong. Well, according to a federal court, a Pennsylvania dentist and a big game hunter killed his wife during a 2016 African hunting expedition to collect millions of dollars in life insurance. Dr. Lawrence P. Rudolph, who's now 67, was taken into custody last month and charged with one count of mail fraud. But federal prosecutors laid out an elaborate scheme claiming Lawrence intentionally shot his wife to death to grab the money and be with his longtime mistress. There's always a mistress, isn't there? Particularly when there's insurance money. Now, the couple took a 2-week hunting trip to Zambia in 2016, and Bianca Rudolph was fatally shot in the chest with a Browning 12-gauge shotgun in the early morning hours of October 11th of 2016. Lawrence told the Zimbabwe police that he was in the bathroom of the hunting cabin when he heard the gunshot. He told the police that he suspected the gun had been left loaded from the hunt the previous day, and he thought that maybe Bianca was trying to pack the shotgun into a case when it went off. Now, a Zambian forensic pathologist conducted an examination and determined that Bianca died on the scene of a hemorrhagic shock, macerated heart, a perforated lung, which is basically being shot in the chest with a shotgun. The Zambian police service concluded that Bianca's death was a result of her failing to take proper safety precautions when packing up the gun, causing the firearm to accidentally fire. Now, Lawrence called the U.S. Embassy later that day to notify authorities about Bianca's death. He apparently quickly turned the conversation into making plans to cremate his wife and leaving the country. The FBI said they had a bad feeling about the situation and went to the funeral home to investigate. They found that the gunshot wounds in Bianca's chest had to have been made approximately 6.5 to 8 feet away from Bianca. The hunting guide told the FBI he saw Lawrence pay in cash for Bianca's cremation and seemed rushed to get the job done. Just a concerned spouse, that's all. Upon returning to the U.S., Lawrence began claiming the benefits from 7 different life insurance policies that's right, totaled $4.8 million. Friends of Bianca suspected foul play as they knew the couple had been fighting about money months leading up to their trip to Africa. So when you're having money troubles, let's go on an African safari. That could have been really cheap, I'm sure. I think the last time I looked at something like that, it's like $50,000. So apparently Bianca gave her husband an ultimatum to sell his dentist's office. According to other friends, they said that Lawrence would never leave Bianca because he would not want to lose his money, and Bianca would not divorce Lawrence because of her Catholicism. Now, a medical examiner determined that Bianca could not have accidentally shot herself with the gun. It's a little tough to do when you're 6 feet away. Lawrence's attorneys called the case against their client outrageous. That's right, travesty of a mockery of a shan, I'm sure, and that he loved his wife for 34 years until that one day that she's dead. They noted that several insurance companies investigated the incident, and they all agreed it was an accident, and that Lawrence looks forward to his trial where he will demonstrate his innocence. Note that he is not charged with murder. That's right, wire fraud. That's how they always get him in federal court. There's always the guys that, push their wife off the cruise ship, or they die in the scuba accident. But an African safari, I mean, couldn't he have put her in front of a big lion or something and have him eat or something? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta check things out. If your spouse wants to take you on a dream vacation, obviously be afraid. Be very, very afraid. You never know where they're coming for you. Please go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. You'll be happy you did. If there's anyone out there you were ever curious about what was in their background, now is the time to do it. If you're going to get involved with somebody, now is the time to do it. When you go to crimetalksearch.com, you put in the name, literally millions of public records are searched, and a report is generated. And it's going to give you a report. If they have multiple social media accounts, you're going to find it. If they have multiple phone numbers, multiple email addresses, it's going to be found. And more importantly, you're going to get information regarding criminal history. Hopefully the person you're searching has none whatsoever. But if it's there, it's going to be found. You're going to get everything you'd want to know, whether you're going into business or whether you're going into a personal relationship. You're going to be able to find out the information you want to know. So go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up today. You'll be happy you did. Next on the docket, the dumb criminal of the day. Sarah Franks and Caitlin O'Donovan arrived at the Clearwater residence of Jacob Cullen before arguing with him while he was standing on his balcony. The two women each threw a container of glitter at Colin, and Franks then climbed over the balcony, entered the male's apartment, and threw even more glitter at him. She unlocked the front door to let O'Donovan inside, and you guessed it, that's right, she could throw more glitter on him. Now, cops tracked the two women back to an apartment and found glitter inside their car. The two women were arrested and charged with felony burglary with assault or battery. Now, Franks was also charged with criminal mischief for allegedly breaking the victim's window. That's all we know about that, ladies and gentlemen. But glitter, my guess is these were some sort of adult entertainers, and they were letting them know that, well, they like their glitter. I don't know what else to say about that one, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. All right, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on next time. And I'll have a suit on tomorrow, but I didn't have any court today, so I don't know, just something about wearing a suit lately. I've kind of grown an aversion to it, but we'll be back in a suit tomorrow. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.